Move over Senegal and Cameroon. The title of giant killers has been taken over by Costa Rica. The pre-tournament whipping boys scalped their second world champions in a row. The mighty Azzurri are humbled in Recife. Didier Deschamps' French Revolution are up next and will look to seal their berth in the knockouts with a clash against neighbour Switzerland. Will Benzema once again prove to be the difference? And not too many will probably end up watching this one later tonight. Minnows Honduras against pacey Ecuador, who are smarting after a last-second defeat against Switzerland. Good evening. What a World Cup we are having. First, let me give you the breaking news at the moment. England have been knocked out of the World Cup. Karim Ben-Sharifah and Novi Kapadia are trying to catch their breath. We were watching the game together. Let's move on and give you the result, because this has been fantastic all throughout this tournament. Costa Rica have made a mockery of rankings and footballing pedigree by beating Italy, the four-time champions, by a solitary goal. Yes, Costa Rica are only in their fourth World Cup, but then this is the World Cup and reputations count for nothing. The Italians, fresh off that big wins against England, look lackluster in the opening exchanges. Costa Rica, playing with a spring in their stride, dominated the midfield, and Italy were not creative enough. Mario Balotelli had a couple of decent shots, but was his usual blow hot, blow cold self. The Italian defense, including the returning Gigi Buffon, looked shaky, and they paid the price just before the break. Brian Ruiz making a super run between the defenders to slot home with a composed header. The Italians threw the kitchen sink in the second half, but the Ticos didn't wilt. They used the flanks to keep the pressure on. It stayed 1-0 till the end, and that meant England were out. Okay, let's see how this game in fact panned out. Let's actually go and look at the stats that have come up. Italy versus Costa Rica, how this game panned out. Italy 58% ball possession, but that does not count in football. What counts is this number. Costa Rica will party through the night. 1-0 for them, 10 shots for Italy, 10 for Costa Rica, 6 on target for either teams, and 1-1 yellow card each. Gentlemen, what a World Cup we are having, Nobi. Costa Rica was supposed to be the whipping boys of this World Cup. They've actually whipped two world champions.
Yes, it's proving to be the World Cup of the sporting underdog. And Costa Rica, it's a fairy tale story. Well, you know, 24 years ago, on the same day, 20th June 1990, I saw them beat Sweden. And they'd moved to the next round. And now, well, of course, this is a much greater victory. Beating four times champions Italy, who seemed in such majestic form. And not only, I mean, Costa Rica should have won 2-0. They were unfairly denied a penalty when Joel Campbell was brought down. So this is a convincing win, nearly as convincing as it was against Uruguay. But again, you know, the blame boys. Balotelli more worried about kisses on the cheeks instead of concentrating on football. As Karim had said in the morning show, that has probably spurred on the Costa Ricans. And very typical Balotelli, unless he gets over this, you know, the graph spiraling upwards or way downwards. No consistency.
You don't know what you'll get with Balotelli. It's blow hot, blow cold.
He missed a sitter of a
Yes, he missed a sitter one-on-one. Even the changes which Cesare Prandelli got in the second half didn't work. There's something the Costa Ricans did right, Karim. We should give them credit for that.
They did a lot of things right. I mean, to criticize Italy, I would like to highlight the good work of Costa Rica, because besides tactically, they closed that midfield and they didn't allow Pirlo and Rossi to maneuver their games. If you look at this, one thing that's very important is the desire, again I repeat on that, and the aggressivity of these players, because if you look at the statistics, Italy have committed 10 fouls, Costa Rica had committed almost 30 fouls, which show how much aggressivity they put and pressure they put on the players of Italy. Plus, I think the weather, the kickoff, the humidity, we have about 7 players around or above 30
Yes, the
years
Pirlo
old.
and Daniel De Rossi
so
and everyone
that's
else.
also, we could see there is one team which is fresh, which should run more, and one team which is slow rhythm and all that.
Karim, I would like you to step up and join me here at your corner, because, you know, I have grown up being an Italian fan. I have grown up watching Maldini, you know, and Baresi and the greats. But this famed Italian defense didn't exist here. Obviously, they're not in the same class as Cannavaro, the last great Italian defender. But you would expect Barzagli and Chiellini to do much more. I mean, Chiellini at the end had a great save, but towards that goal which they considered actually was an indicator of what went wrong for Italy. That back line was shaky, and throughout the tournament, we have seen that back line has remained shaky.
We had seen so many goals in this way because Italy came initially with this formation, and Costa Rica was more on 3-4, 5-4-1.
Yes.
If we come to the goal, we had seen many goals, even Suarez' goal yesterday.
Overlapping runs, yes.
Defensively, there is a player of Costa Rica who crossed from here. So when there is a player here, normally the right back will close. But there is also the positioning of the back four should be always the first centre back will cover this space, the second centre back will mark the first post, and the left back will mark the second post. Now what happened is the striker, if we push these guys, of course the midfield also have to be on these kind of positions, but if we look at the goal, the cross come in, the player is running, there was a player here, but the second player is running
between the centre backs,
behind Chiellini. So normally I would, the left back should be watching the far post, and he was here.
Yeah.
But even when he's far away, the communication is also very important. So there was nobody here. So the time that Chiellini look behind him that there is a player, it was too late.
You know, Karim, we were watching that goal together. There were 4 blue shirts in the box and just 2 Costa Ricans, and yet they scored. Novi Kapada, in a sense, you know, I got a feeling that Italy perhaps were arrogant. You know, they did not take this team seriously despite what they did to Uruguay. And you saw at the beginning, listless Italy, disjointed, more like the Italy of '94 when they were chasing games after conceding early goals. This was not the Italy we've got used to seeing under Prandelli.
No, probably the weather also had a role to play in that. And also I think Buffon, I personally think it was a big mistake. I blame Buffon also largely for this goal. Because if you see the replay carefully, he takes 1 step forward, 1 step backward. A goalkeeper has to be like a tiger in the cage or a lioness with her cubs. You command that area. You don't show any hesitation. You know, the Buffon of old would have killed this ball.
Karim,
and
are we looking, taking on what Nobi is saying, is it like what's happened to Casillas? Buffon's actually playing a World Cup game for the first time since 2010. He didn't play the last game when they were knocked out, missed the first game. Is he now starting to look like Iker Casillas? It's gone. And with goalkeepers, once it goes, it goes.
Well, he's the captain of the team. It's not easy to just drop players. You know, Buffon is for a long time there. This World Cup mean a lot for him. He worked with Prandelli for quite a long time, and I would have done the same. You know, Buffon have to start the game. Coming to the goal, yes, maybe the communication, but I think Buffon overall. I don't think we should blame Buffon on the loss. I think overall he had done a decent.
But he did look shaky. You know, all those balls coming in, he was very shaky.
He missed the flight on one corner maybe. On this goal, I would like more to emphasize on the back four positioning, especially the left back and Chiellini. But otherwise, he anticipates many situations where he anticipated the ball very well. Many shots where he saved. Even the last shot that was very close, even if it was on target, he would have saved that one. It was a difficult one. So overall, I would rather look at the defensive setup, at the defensive, and the midfield could not stamp its authority. And I think mainly I would give again the fitness level is also very important.
It's very rare, Novi, to see the great Pirlo not having any impact on a game. And today was one of those games. Andrea Pirlo could not dictate the pace. Even the other changes which happened, they just could not find a way past Costa Rica. Perhaps Costa Rica wanted this much more. That commitment was there. They snapped at the heels. They went for balls. They closed Italy down.
See, Pirlo did unleash some brilliant passes, that beautiful through pass, which again, it's again that whole David Silva syndrome. If Balotelli had scored then, they were, in a space of 5 minutes, they got 2 chances. If Italy had been 2-0 up at that time, it may have been a different story. And after that, I think the changes were a bit hasty. Cassano came, really didn't make all that much of an impact. He changed the formation of the team. This thing of these lesser teams, it's also a blending of cultures. Also, all this, the goalkeeper, Kela, as well as Ivan Campbell, and so many others now play in European leagues. So they are professionally very well prepared. Right. They are well trained. There is a blending of cultures. There's very little difference now between the teams. Let's put that to the coach. They're no more overawed also by the big names.
Correct. Let's put that to the coach. Very quickly, Karim, what we are seeing this World Cup, the gap between the teams is decreasing. When you would look at the lineup and say, oh, Italy should win this one, but that's not happening. That means that the depth between the teams with the earlier gap which was there is no longer there.
Well, there is many things, many reasons for that. First of all, the World Cup is about the form of the moment. It's not about names. We had seen even with top players like Cristiano Ronaldo, many top players are coming tired to the World Cup, not in top form, while many other teams who maybe didn't play a lot are in better shape and better fitness. So it's about the form of the moment rather than the reputation of the teams or the name of the players.
Okay, well, who would have thought at the beginning of this match that Italy, the 4-time world champions, will lose to Costa Rica? Well, that is the joy the beautiful game gives up. Let's look at what else is coming up tonight, because you never know what could actually end up in this World Cup. Other teams could win. So let's see. These are the games tonight. Italy have lost to Costa Rica. That loss eliminates England. The other game coming up after this is Switzerland versus the 1998 champions France. France started off in dramatic fashion, completely blowing apart Honduras 3-0. Benzema and company could have scored many more goals, but this one is a battle between neighbors. It could get spicy.
A spot in the final 16 will be at stake when France and Switzerland take the field at Salvador later tonight. But Didier Deschamps' France, who cruise past a hapless Honduras, will want to be wary of being complacent, given the never-say-die attitude the Swiss displayed against the much-fancied Ecuador.
It will be tough and challenging, and when you look at what has happened in the other groups, there are no minor teams, no minor matches. You have to take everyone seriously and you have to give one's best to do the utmost to win.
The Les Bleus, who were in cruise control against the Honduras, will need Karim Benzema, Paul Pogba to deliver on their promises against a shaky Switzerland backline. But the Swiss, who are coming off a confidence-boosting win against Ecuador, will be relying on their pacey attack against Deschamps' boys, who will look to Yohan Cabaye to act as the speed breaker against Xherdan Shaqiri and company.
Over the past 10 years, Switzerland has had a good record against France, as is France against us. We are in a special position since France is our neighbouring country and we always had a good duel with them. So to play against France is a big derby for us.
The French are a goal away from their 100th World Cup goal and will want to make the occasion special. Or will the Swiss play the role of party poopers and record their first win in the derby in more than 20 years?
Novi, I was very impressed by the French, the way they demolished the opposition in their first game. But I was also very impressed by the Italians. So you don't know what you're getting in this World Cup. But you would think that the French have enough in the tank to get past Switzerland.
A very close clash, I think, because Switzerland is a much improved team. Now it's got an attacking flair. But yes, France have that advantage of a 3-0 win. And Karim Benzema and Griezmann, they are combining very well. Lot would depend if Pogba had got rattled in the first match. The tackles from behind, if he can be at his creative best. France had support all over. Also now their defense will be tested. It wasn't tested so much against Honduras. And the Swiss, we see, have got a never-say-die attitude. The way they got that winning goal in the
last kick of the game.
Last kick of the game. The dying seconds of added time. So my hunch is a draw.
And I want to ask Karim that, because yes, France were not tested, but what Switzerland did in that game were to run from this side to that side, end-to-end running, and France may not be able to cope with that because they're not used to all this end-to-end running, teams running at them.
Well, I was very, very much impressed with Switzerland. You know, again, you have to look at the man behind the team as well. The coaches play also a big role. I give a big advantage to Hitzfeld over Deschamps because
it's a clash of generations also.
Because he have a lot of experience and he's a very, very shrewd coach. I'm sure he studied very well the 4-3-3 system of France. And if you look at the players, also Switzerland have some exciting players. If you look at Shaqiri, maybe he's at the same level or even better than Valbuena, Karim Benzema, and all these guys. And they have a lot of players who are playing top clubs. So very, very competitive Switzerland team, and I don't think France will have it easy.
You know, Novi, talking about Xherdan Shaqiri, because I remember seeing him for Basel against Manchester United when he ran them ragged, moved to Bayern Munich, didn't get too much time, but he's put himself effectively in the shop window. Liverpool are interested, other teams will be interested. Perhaps Switzerland could play him in that playmaker's role tonight, because this Granit Xhaka didn't have exactly an imposing game. The creativity is there. Perhaps play him in the right position, pull him back a bit.
Well, it's Hitzfeld, he's a very wily coach, and I'm sure he'll do what he thinks best for Switzerland. But yeah, the World Cup often becomes a supermarket for many players of teams which really don't have massive title aspirations. You know, the players are out to display themselves and get better deals. But he's playing in one of the best clubs of the world. He doesn't get many chances in Bayern Munich. So this is a chance for him to show Pep Guardiola that maybe you made a mistake in not choosing me. Just to add about Ottmar Hitzfeld, he's got a great connection with Indians. Several Indian coaches who've been to Germany have been trained by him, including our expert in the Hindi channel, Shabir Ali.
Oh, that's fantastic insight from Novi. Very quickly, Karim, let's ask you about the other Karim, Benzema. He's making up for missing out on 2010. You get the feeling he wants to go, he wants to score goals and prove a point to Dominic, who didn't pick him last time.
Yeah, I feel that he's doing a great job. He's having the confidence now. As we said before in the first show, that he almost scored a hat-trick, you know. So he's looking forward to that. He's not disturbed by any. The whole France team the spirit looks okay. So that's also in the advantage of these players.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. And Novi and Karim obviously will be back at 7 in the morning to review the game coming up, and the other game also in the night, which we'll talk after the break. We will take a break right now. When we return, we'll take the tweets that we have picked, as well as that late kickoff I spoke about, Honduras versus Ecuador. Welcome back. Now the last game tonight pits both the minnows in Group E, Honduras and Ecuador, up against each other. Having lost their opening fixtures, both teams will be hoping for a change in fortune. Honduras will be without suspended midfielder Wilson Palacios, who was sent off in their 3-0 defeat at the hands of the French for picking up 2 yellow cards. Up against them will be an Ecuador side waiting to bounce back from the heartbreak of conceding a goal late in stoppage time to lose their opener against the Swiss. A win is an absolute must for both sides if they wish to keep their World Cup campaign alive. Okay, now also take a look at what you all have been writing in on Twitter and tweeting about the World Cup. Here we go. The first tweet coming our way from Mehek. She says, "Today is one of those rare moments when everyone in England must be cheering on for the Italians. Yes, they were cheering, now they are in mourning." The next one, Costa Rica are playing with such ease and confidence, outplaying the Azzurri at their own game, says Oe Guju. Also coming up is Prakash. Prakash says that Mario must score to increase his chances of getting a kiss from the Queen. All he'll get right now is probably the royal boot. And our fourth tweet coming up is from Johnson. He says, "Giants Italy and Uruguay slayed by underdogs Costa Rica in the process, taking out England in the so-called group of death." That's why it was called the group of death. Coming up is Also, our tweet of the day, this also comes from Oe Guju. He says, if Costa Rica beats Italy, I think it's fair to say the US are the odds-on favorite to win the World Cup. Well, interesting one that from Oe Guju, because now they have beaten. Let's see what Jürgen Klinsmann has to say about that. You can also join in on the conversation here with us on CNN IBN. All you have to do is tweet IBN Live with the hashtag World's Cup. That's Worlds with an S. Okay, time for us then to go. We leave you with a reminder that you can join us at 7 a.m. Karim Ben Sharifa and Novi Kapadia will be here. We hope there are no more upsets in the night's game. That is the one coming up, France versus Switzerland. Good night, goodbye.